Hi, my name's Shane. I use she and her pronouns. This is the Yellow King role-playing game. Of no possible interest to any of you, surely. I would just like to say that the Melbourne Football Club won last night, which means that my team will play in the grand final for the first time in 21 years. We were just talking before the recording started about the odd stretches of time that seem to have passed. They have not won a grand final in my lifetime, so it is an extremely exciting period in my life. I'm convinced this will be the year they win because, of course, Melbourne's in lockdown. I won't be able to go out and celebrate anyway. So surely the time they finally do it. Just hoping that the King in Yellow does not fully absorb our reality into Carcosa in the next 2 weeks so that I actually get to watch the grand final. The King in Yellow role-playing game is from Pelgrane Press. It's by Robin D. Laws. We are currently playing in the third of the game's 4 settings, and your characters are revolutionaries who helped overthrow the authoritarian Castaigne regime and are now fighting those who would restore it. We'll talk a bit more about what's happening in the game in a minute. This session and this series were organised as part of the Gauntlet gaming calendar. If you're not familiar, the Gauntlet plays, organises, discusses a whole lot of role-playing games, especially story and indie games. If you would like to find out more or get involved, check out gauntlet-rpg.com. It's kind of mid-September as we're recording this. Mid-October will also be the next Gauntlet Community Open Gaming Weekend. So if you're watching, relatively close to where this was recorded, that's a great chance to jump into a game. There'll be a whole lot of one-shots or other short games, all for free, and a chance to try out a Gauntlet game for your first time, or not your first time. I think that's all I want to say by way of intro. So I will turn it over to the players and ask them to introduce both themselves and their characters. Puckett, can I get you to go first, please?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say congratulations, Melbourne. I really feel that whole thing about, not winning a championship in your lifetime yet, because I'm a fan of the San Diego Padres, and they have made it to the World Series a few times. But, always the bridesmaid, never the bride, as it were. So anyway, I'm Puckett. I use he, him pronouns, and go Melbourne.
And can you tell us a bit about Mayhem as well?
Oh, you want to introduce my character? Tonight I'll be playing, for the time that will be playing in this era, I will be playing Marie, nicknamed Mayhem Lancaster, who is... I'd call her something of a loose cannon, but that cannons still kind of fire in one direction, and Marie is more of, splash damage, area of effect. So, she learned a lot of useful tactics and techniques during the war, most of which don't translate that well to civilian life. So she kind of gets called in when things need to be handled, and there's not a whole lot of care about how much mess gets made. You got to break some eggs to make an omelet, right? And when it comes to making an omelet, Marie tends to think of a city as a frying pan.
So. A beautiful metaphor. Thank you. Brandon.
Hi, I'm Brandon, he, him. Tonight I'll be playing Marissa Taylor, who is a young woman whose family was... arrested and put to death by the old Castaigne regime. She escaped by mere chance, whereupon she wandered aimlessly for a bit until she found the resistance, and then turned herself into her as someone who might be able to help them, having no skills at that time, but cut nerves, inability to feel the grief that she had, and a willingness to do anything in order to exact revenge. They put her in as a deep cover mole, and she ended up being courted by and then marrying a mid-level apparatchik named Henry Bolt. And funneled information to the resistance for quite a number of years. and never broke cover until she was extracted, when it became clear that the Castaigne regime, at least the organized parts, had collapsed. She hoped to never to have anything to do with spying or insurgency ever again, but there's no rest for the weary.
Absolutely. Thank you. Nicholas.
Hi, I'm Nicholas. I use he, him pronouns. I'm playing Johnny, who is mostly a code breaker, someone who lives a life of comfort behind a desk, out doing field work for the first time, and realizing that people just don't want him to interact with things like sniper rifles and any sort of firearms. But feeling like I got this under control. So we'll see if I get a gun in my hand and what I can do with it.
Excellent. And Matthew.
Hi, I'm Matthew. I use he, him pronouns. Today I'll be playing Daigo Karangal, a sort of former surgeon and now turned field medic. Uh, he's a he's a survivor of a botched, the lone survivor of a botched operation. So he carries a lot of survivor's guilt with him, and sort of takes it out needlessly through aggression and impulsiveness.
So, just to recap where the story is at briefly, you have been assigned by the provisional government to find and destroy a mirror of reputedly terrible supernatural properties. Marissa has tracked that mirror to the estate of the late Henry Bolt, who Brandon mentioned just before. Meanwhile, Mayhem has been hired by the notorious Castaignite terrorist Jean Wild to help retrieve an asset, quote unquote, that Wild says will be transported by convoy to a secure location. And Mayhem has now learned that this asset is a person, not an object. She has also acquired a tremendous amount of explosives and a means to affix these explosives or detonate these explosives on the armored vehicle that will be transporting whoever that is. I think that's all the recap I really have. I think I mentioned last time, Paco alluded to this, but my plan is that we'll finish up the Aftermath setting today and then make a new set of characters sort of midway through the session. So it's kind of what I'm aiming for. I am thinking of just starting by framing ahead to the scene where you meet up with Wild and his other agents to prepare for the ambush on the convoy. But is there a scene that we need to play out first, or preparations that we need to play out first for any of you? I might start with Mayhem, who I think clearly has some plans about what might go down.
I was going to ask if Daigo wanted to be involved in this.
Sure, sorry. Hit the mic button.
I mean, it seems like you have more combat experience than the other people in the team. So, you'd be able to carry yourself in a way so that anybody who looked at you would be like, oh, okay, this guy's a professional, knows what he's doing. Nothing against Johnny or Marissa, but your skill sets are more specialized and more, honestly, more valuable.
Not to break the meta here, but just so you know, I actually have the lowest fighting stat.
Yeah, but on the other hand, you seem like a contractor, somebody who can get things done, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's more about having been on ops and involved with ops and knowing how to carry yourself on an op and looking the part. Because, as you know, we're just going to blow this thing up. We're not going to mess around and try to help them.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask about the mechanics of blowing it up. So you rolled well on your preparedness test last time, so I said that I wouldn't make you roll to get it on. But how do you imagine this? Are you going to launch something at it that explodes on impact? Are you going to attach something to it with a detonator? What will the mechanism be?
Well, we're taking the vehicle while it's in transit, correct?
Well, that's the plan.
So our job is to take out that rear vehicle. So Daigo, what do you think? How do we want to do this? Do we want to have somebody overhead with, say, some sort of rocket launcher? Or do we want to just do something really reckless, load a car up with explosives, and basically, have a goon drive it close enough to the truck to be able to do this?
I think that alternative is much more preferable to Daiko. Daiko's like if you want something blown up, you might as well get up close and personal with it. This has always been my philosophy.
Well, and let's be blunt. The people I recruited, if it turns out that they go missing, nobody's going to miss them. They're not nice. They are, I knew what I was looking for, and I wanted people that if they died during this op, I would not feel even an iota of sadness.
Hopefully they don't know that.
Of course not. I'm good at what I do. So what are you thinking? Like loading a truck, like basically getting a really large truck and then like having one of the goons in it and tell them that they need to block the intersection and do it that way? And then have that truck loaded with explosives that they don't know about?
I hadn't even considered that other detail, but yeah.
Like a dump truck or, a garbage truck or something?
I think a garbage truck or a concrete mixer, a concrete mixer might be even better because they're less inclined to search the rear end.
Look in the back.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Dump truck. I mean, we could like load it up with explosives and put a lot of trash over it, like a lot of smelly garbage.
Oh yes, that is quite a deterrent.
So what do you think here?
Yeah, no, that sounds like I mean, I'm not sure what you're asking me here, Lancaster. Are you other than whether or not other than if you're asking me to supply additional tactics to this situation? I mean, we get a vessel, we load it up, and we take it to the desired spot. What more could you ask for except maybe a secure escort or someone to guard the route to make sure that it doesn't blow up before it gets there?
Well, you came up with that outstanding sniper, and I'll tip my hat. You interesting people.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to see if, based on people the operations you've done, which you have been very clear about not discussing with us, if there was anything else about this situation that you think you can
Provide,
or anything that you can, any ideas you see or any flaws that you see to make sure this gets done.
all right, here's what we can do. I can look up a driver, perhaps, someone with skills to. I'll look for someone, a skilled getaway driver or a skilled smuggler who can drive the truck and get away unscathed.
Right,
Mostly because I don't want any of my friends to die. But
exactly.
his is the most important role in the op, and therefore we wanted to get done by a professional. So why don't we look at that?
Outstanding. And maybe get a car so exfil for all of us, or at least the people we're taking with us, is easier.
Yeah. Like out of character, I just want to say like I'm going to attempt to network, and also hopefully that driver of the dump truck. I'm sorry, the dump truck will also be the person providing our getaway vehicle.
I will throw my 3 points of network into that, and that means that so I have 3 points remaining. That means that you get to add 2. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Shane?
that's right.
Okay.
So if you're wanting someone who can both drive the dump truck and provide the getaway, that's going to be a difficulty 6.
Sure. Roll with me. The scallop patterns.
Did you already burn all your network points?
No, I'm only using 2 in addition, so I still have 2 left over. It's going to be a +4 roll. I almost named myself 1d6.
It's a great name.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
That is a 5 Oof.
Oh, okay. So you were trying to get two things and you failed. So your choice. Do you not find a driver for the truck, or do you not find getaway vehicles?
I think the driver is probably the most important aspect of the operation. So we get
So
that
you might
guy.
have to rely on Johnny and Marissa to get you away. Is that where we're going
That's
with
it.
this?
That's fair enough.
You might
Not
ask us.
Sorry, what was that, Brandon?
So at some point you will need to let us in on this plan.
Yeah, we'll have to. Yeah.
Oh, I don't think I'm being particularly secretive about it.
Mhm.
I mean, at this point, one thing that I've asked the sniper for is, if he gets a chance, like I don't necessarily foresee what was the that movie exec's name?
Babo.
Barbo.
Yeah. Honestly, if he gets eyes on the head of the operation, I'd like it if that sniper took the head of the operation out. Just straight up kill him. So, there's I don't think I'm being particularly secretive about any of this.
No,
Yeah,
that's fine.
Mayhem
I,
does not strike me as someone who's secretive. Sorry, you
I'm
were saying,
curious
Brandon.
if either Marissa or Johnny is squeamish about the possible property damage.
No.
Not
Not
at
at all.
all. No.
No, I have two concerns.
And those are
Mm.
What's plan B?
Plan B
Yes.
is a lot of guns. We'll have a sniper on the rooftop. We have the goons. And these are not particularly bright goons. So if I yell at them in mid-op to start focusing their fire on the truck, they're probably going to listen.
But it's an armored truck, right?
It is, but we have the explosives. Worst comes to worst, we have the driver. So we know that the armored truck is going to get blown up. So basically what we need to worry about is exfil. And if exfil gets messy, then it turns into that amazing scene from Heat when they're basically getting out of the botched bank robbery. Civilians will probably be ducking and running. It's unlikely that the police will be on site. The goons are expendable.
True. But there's one thing that you haven't accounted for, and I'd like to hear you account for it.
And that is?
Wild's behavior. And the fact that he has just wanted you to take out one guard vehicle, suggesting that part or all of the convoy is in his pocket already.
The armored truck is the important part of the convoy.
Yes. But he's going to react. He's going to react as soon as anything happens, or perhaps even slightly before it happens.
Hence the sniper.
If his reputation is good.
Honestly,
I'm saying,
if things start going sideways like that,
I think we should assume that they will.
And you're not wrong. You are absolutely not wrong. I'll stay. We'll make sure Daigo gets out, as well as any other friendlies that we don't want to lose. And I will use every bullet that I have. And if it comes down to it, I'll save one.
So you're going to use an automobile to deliver the bomb, yes?
Garbage truck.
Doesn't really matter, right? If you have enough explosive, it'll take out half a city block.
And that's absolutely true, but at the same time, we want to make sure that we neutralize that armored truck, and it needs to be a vehicle heavy enough that it can hit it to disable forward motion or throwing it into reverse or any other way of getting out.
Unless, of course, it's set to detonate on impact, whereupon it doesn't matter how big a car it is, and you might use something faster.
Daigo, what do you think?
The driver's killed, of course.
Driver is killed, you said?
Well, if the car bomb detonates on impact, the driver's going to be vaporized. But it's the surest way to do it. That way, even if something goes wrong with the roadblock and the armored car is still moving, the person with the vehicle just has to ram him. But it has to be somebody who's ready to go.
You're suggesting that to ensure the detonation of the device, we should be willing, or he should be willing to give his own life.
Or she.
Marissa.
Yes. It's the only way to be certain.
I feel like you're dancing around something.
I'm not dancing around it at all. I'm volunteering to drive the car. I don't have anything to go home to. I've seen what that thing does. I saw it out of the corner of my eye and heard it barely at all, and even so, it chilled my blood.
I mean, considering that I was just saying that I'll save a bullet if necessary, I'm certainly not going to be somebody who says that's a terrible idea.
What are we going to do about the mirror? Are we hoping that this person's critical to it, and therefore, presumably they are critical to the operation, or they wouldn't be being transported in this fashion?
Johnny? Daigo? Daigo, I know we were just talking about having you on this op, but...
Believing your intuition that this is critical.
Do you two want to take out the mirror?
It makes
Marissa
sense.
and
I don't think we can. I wouldn't be surprised if that thing is extraordinarily difficult to damage.
You don't think this explosion is going to take care of a mirror?
It's not. The mirror is not going to be being transported. The mirror is in my ex-husband's estate.
Oh, okay.
Inside a house, and they don't seem to care if anyone knows that, suggesting that it has ways of protecting itself against, for example, a car bomb in the driveway.
I mean, I'm willing to take the mirror out. If a car bomb's not going to take care of it.
I don't know, Johnny. I just know that when I spoke to Barlow, who seemed in possession of his faculties, except for the fact that he considered that he clearly had been traduced by this entity we're dealing with. He seemed unconcerned that the resistance might come to the estate and try to kill or arrest people there.
And
if we did not have I would want to try to blow it up if we didn't have other uses for another reason to do what we're doing. But I'm wondering if
I mean, why do we even care about the convoy? Don't we care about the mirror? Shouldn't we take this bomb to the mirror and blow it into the sky?
Once again, whatever's in this truck is important enough that Wild needs it protected and wants it taken care of. Destroying it.
He's willing to expose himself to do it.
Correct. Destroying it. And I'll put it to you this way. With the amount of explosives I've acquired, if it doesn't destroy this, there is nothing that I am aware of that will destroy it. That mirror, based on what you've said, the three of you have more experience with it than I do. I want to take out whatever they're taking to this mirror.
You spoke to Wild.
Yes.
Does he clearly seemed to desire to capture what was in there.
Yes. He wants that taken intact.
That's the critical part, that he doesn't want it destroyed. He doesn't strike me as the type to try to achieve his modes through psychological manipulation, or at least that's not his reputation.
It would be new for him. And for him to make a move this bold, this publicly,
yes,
he has to suspect or believe that whatever is in that truck is valuable enough that it will restore the Castaigne tyranny and elevate him to a position of power and gratitude for his service. Or that if it doesn't work, he's risking death to achieve it.
Well, if he's been traduced, he may be willing to do that very thing. Or he may simply be so sure. What I found in speaking to those who had been converted was a complete certainty that what they were doing was going to succeed. Absolute, unqualified. Not the way a fanatic believes. You know, who knows, at least they must succeed because how could it be otherwise? Because the power of their belief compels it, but rather that it would succeed because it's been already written that it's going to. So I don't know, but I have a feeling that someone's going to have to be prepared to flip that explosive to auto detonate and ram the truck if you want it to work. Because if Wild reacts badly and quickly, and he does have a reputation for that, it may come to it.
All right. I can splinter off and take care of the mirror.
So just in terms of the mirror, sorry to interrupt the planning.
Yeah.
If Mayhem wants to spend an occultism push, then I think that you could plausibly know, a minor ritual that would disenchant any protective wards or something like that might be protecting the mirror. But it would require someone to go and touch the mirror while they said the Latin words.
I will happily spend that push if Daigo and Johnny want to take care of it.
I'm in.
Oh, right. Wait. Johnny is joining Marissa to approach the mirror, or
no? Marissa is taking care of the convoy.
If you're going to go after the mirror, then you probably need me because I can get you in.
That would be good.
You see, Marissa? It's not over after all.
It's never going to be over. Murray.
Not till we're underground.
I just don't want it to be over that way.
Yeah.
All right. We have 2 to go after the armored truck and 2 to go after the mirror.
All right.
So if I understand correctly, okay, from my perspective, I am going with Lancaster, and Johnny is going with you, Brandon. Am I right?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. All right.
Shane, do you want me to roll to find like a small revolver I can hand to Marissa?
Oh no, I assume that you have small arms and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay. And I'll hand you one of like a snub nose revolver out of my personal stash, and say, if it
Yeah.
gets bad,
I know where to shoot myself. Yes.
good. Just save the last one.
It won't be the last one. It might be the first one.
Yeah.
Johnny, are you going to bring a gun as well?
I am. Yeah. I'm not saying anything about it. I just have a
Okay,
gun. I've
just
been
quietly.
carrying.
I just assumed he still had it from our little misadventure.
Exactly. I don't know how Mayhem hasn't noticed that I've been carrying this the whole time.
I just, do I need to roll to notice that you have one?
There's no like perception test in this game, so
Roll to notice.
I mean,
I think you just noticed.
And just haven't said anything. Don't know why.
Or maybe you can say you didn't notice. It's up to you. I mean, like,
I think at this point, Johnny, do you have the gun on you?
I do. I keep it underneath a kind of baggy coat that I wear most of the time. It's slightly oversized.
Okay. If it's okay with you, I think I note it, like your coat moves or something like that, and I notice it.
Okay.
Is that all right with you?
That's fine with me. Did you say anything about it?
I
Did
think
you
at this
just like
point,
raise an eyebrow?
God damn it. Johnny, where did you get that thing?
What thing? What are you talking about?
The gun?
I mean, this is standard issue. Well, all of us carry them, every code breaker.
I'm going to sigh and face palm and say, Johnny, can I borrow it for just like 5 minutes, maybe 10? I promise I'll give it back.
A little bit of a huff, reach in, hand it over.
And I'm going to field strip it and clean it vigorously. I mean, I'm assuming it's a semi-automatic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it goes from pouting to just glee as I see you're not like taking it away.
Yeah. And at the same time, I'm saying, Johnny, watch what I do, please.
Watching.
Because this thing doesn't look like it has ever been maintained. Like, not since it was issued.
I mean, it still fires just fine.
Johnny, you need to maintain guns so they continue to fire fine. And I look at it, I go, what the fuck did you let him shoot this thing?
you're I didn't think it was necessary, given the situation, to even care.
So, both of you, you're just, when this op is over, we're going to have some words. Daigo, I'm going to talk to you about common sense, and Johnny, you and I, we're going to have a talk about maintaining your weaponry.
I get it.
Like,
I'll maintain the gun,
brush,
and I hold out my hand so you can give it back.
I'm still scrubbing out the brush, and it's like, do you see what's coming out here? Do you see this grit? Do you see? Johnny, you're lucky this thing didn't blow up in your hand.
Yes, Mom.
And after I'm okay with like fading out on that. I mean, I will give Johnny the gun back after I've like loaded everything, cleaned out the magazines, etc. So, but I'm okay with fading out on Marissa, cleaning the gun, and like letting everybody else what they want to do with the scene.
Cool. Well, I will just ask everyone before we wrap up this scene and cut ahead. Johnny, is there anything else that you want to do?
No, I'm good with Marie also like conveyed what this touch the mirror ritual is like. So yeah, I'm good with the preparations.
Cool. Marissa, is there anything else that you're wanting to do here?
I have no one to say goodbye to. No, so no.
All right. Daigo? You ready to
I'm ready to go. I mean, other than I don't think no, we did that already. No, yeah, I'm ready to go.
All right.
Go just clean this FN or something.
All right. So, Daigo and Mayhem, you find yourselves not much later at the warehouse meeting point where Mr. Wild has set up a large map projected on the wall that shows the route that he expects the convoy to travel. There's, various thugs around. None of them, they all look like they know what they're doing. They can carry themselves and they're well armed, but there's no one who strikes you as, exceptional except for Wild himself. He, hands out assignments, different people intercepting, blocking different escape routes, things like that. He emphasizes very strongly that when he opens the armored truck, the overwhelming priority is to protect the asset, to ensure that no harm comes to the asset. It's extremely important that he gets the asset away. And then he says that there's a story that you all know of a masquerade ball at a palace in a great city and a stranger who returns seemingly masked. And that masquerade has now begun. Let's go. And he directs everyone to their cars, and you're all out on the street heading to the ambush. Is there anything that either of you want to do or say around that scene, or just move on to the convoy attack?
I mean, I just, thinking tactically, I want to make sure that we communicate the route to the sniper that Daigo knows. Remind me again, Daigo, what was the sniper's name?
Isao Morales.
Isao. Yeah, so I just want to make sure Isao knows the route so he knows where to find Wild.
Yeah, he's prepared. He can get in location.
Are we still roping in the driver for Marissa or for and Johnny?
The driver.
well,
we're back to the. Sorry.
I was going to say, I thought we went back to the dump truck plan, or the garbage truck plan, because Marissa was going with Johnny to destroy the mirror to get Johnny in.
Oh yeah. I just wanted to know because I rolled a network roll and I did the spending, so I would we still have the driver in play, right?
Yes.
All right.
The driver is going to position the dump truck.
Okay. If you need a name, just let me know because I have it ready.
Okay. Tell us his name or her name.
Ingrid Parrish.
Ingrid Parrish. And her instructions are essentially to position the truck at the right time and then get out of the way. All right. Let's go to the estate then. Marissa and Johnny, how do you approach the building?
I assume that Johnny is driving, and I just start pulling up to the front of the building. Are we going in the front?
We're going in as if we belong there. We have, before we get inside of the building, I pass you some earplugs.
Okay.
And I suggest that you use these. You don't want to hear anything that's being said in there. And frankly, you don't want to look at anything either, but you're going to have to do what you have to do. Marissa also reaches into the back seat and pulls out what looks like a largish beaten up briefcase, and says, "This is a demo charge. If it should get in, it should destroy the mirror and kill everyone in the building, at least in the main room. Here's how you set the fuse. Here's the button to arm it. It's a hard push.
All right.
I suggest using a short fuse and toss. And I mean, you may have to, if you're going to have to touch the mirror, you're just going to have to drop it and and try to get a wall between you and it.
Right.
And I'm going to do my best to see that people are not paying too much attention to you. My butler's name is Barlow. I describe him. And they're prepared to be prepared to act traduced.
Okay.
In other words,
Traduced.
to prepare to act as if everything there was perfectly ordinary.
Oh, yes.
And the question is, why are you here? Why have I brought you here? I have come back here because I don't feel safe out there, and I have brought my clothes with me. This is the other. She points to another suitcase. Where are you here? Are you my escort?
Yeah, I thought that I would just play the part of a butler.
A bodyguard. No, I have a butler.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay. And what shall I call you?
Johnny's good. They don't know.
Johnny is good. Yes. All right. If anything goes wrong,
detonate the bag.
But you're first try to make your way to the mirror and disable any protection it may have.
Yes.
If everything goes wrong, throw the charge, prime the charge and throw it and hope for the best. But that's a last resort.
All right. So, Marissa, I have that ritual. Should we not blow it up after the ritual anyway?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I'm just saying, but we can't simply throw the explosive at it without someone's member mayhem said someone would have to touch it, be touching the mirror to do the right. So one of us is going to have to make our way there, and we're going to have to play it by ear. If I have to do it, get ready to throw the satchel.
Oh yes. Okay, now I understand.
Okay. All right. We're going to be half deaf in there. Keep an eye on each other and use your best instincts.
All right.
But remember, everything is fine. There's nothing wrong. This is expected. In fact, it's to be looked forward to what is happening.
Right. Yes.
Okay. They're going to bring my husband back. I've told you this.
And you also told Johnny about the people and the typewriters and all the weirdness, I assume.
I did. I've told you about everything.
Yeah.
This is what my husband looks like. And I'm saying this without any belief or disbelief that he or someone who looks just like him is going to be there. You understand?
I do.
All right.
All right. Let's go.
Let's go.
So let's take our first break here, and we'll come back for our two action scenes, I guess. So we'll come back about 5 minutes past the hour.
Yep.
Works for me. See you then.
So Daigo and Daigo and Mayhem, you've arranged things so that the armored truck effectively will crash into this dump truck, or will get close enough that you can detonate the dump truck and take it out. And you're also part of this convoy. So I guess I'm just wanting a bit of, like, what are you doing exactly? You're just there as backup? You really intend to take out the rear vehicle? Like, what are you actually doing in this scene?
What I have told Daigo is that our job is not taking out that rear vehicle. it's taking out any goons who are attacking people in the convoy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I expect our goons to follow suit, because I basically said, when you see him or me shooting, whatever we're shooting at, you make sure it goes down and stays down. That's how you get paid. You follow
Yeah.
our lead.
Pretty much.
Okay. So I would like. Well, and which of you is driving the car, or are you both in separate vehicles?
I feel like we're probably in the same vehicle. What do you think? Is it like a minivan or a cargo van or a truck or what?
Whether practical or not, since I have never driven before in my life, I will say that in my head it's just a regular sedan.
Okay. I mean, I feel like it needs to be like a larger size sedan, like a heavier sedan, so you can have like 3 or 4 people in the back, that sort of thing.
Yeah. I was thinking one of those bigger, like, for some reason I was thinking it's one of the bigger, longer, older models that like. God, I don't know anything about cars, like a Cadillac or one of those long body types.
Cadillacs definitely can seat 3 people quite comfortably in the back seat.
Yeah.
In the front seat, right? It might be a bench seat.
If the front seat's a bench seat, we can fit 3 comfortably in. That's why I was asking about a van, because you can pop the rear doors open. You can have the goons like kind of hanging on to quickly welded little handholds, just like kind of pile at the back.
Or we could be stylish and just have the top down. Nicholas over there in the chat said something about a motorcycle with a sidecar, and I just want to take the moment and say that it is actually my dream, RPG-wise, to actually do the motorcycle with a sidecar bit from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. So file that for future games.
Okay,
I mean, you say that, and I think about the motorcycle sidecar bit from Rock and Roll High School with the Ramones, which was set to Devo. So
Yeah.
Is Rock and Roll High School the one with Dr. Vader?
No.
Okay.
No. It's the one with Miss Togarth. I mean, Clint Howard is in it, but I mean, Clint Howard's been in like pretty much everything.
Yeah. Up until he decided, I'm fine, I'm retired now.
Sadly, there is no Rock and Roll High School in this reality, this timeline.
That means it's the worst timeline ever, and we should end it. You should
maybe you will.
Strong feelings.
Look, it's a terrible movie, but it's joyously terrible.
I'm confusing this with the 1991 movie Rock and Roll High School Forever.
Oh yeah, you got to go for the original.
But Corey Feldman's in this one.
You definitely have to go for the original. Nothing against Corey, but go for the original.
All right. So you are chatting idly about movies of the 80s and 90s as you close in on the ambush site. I would like for one of you to, did we establish which one of you was actually driving the vehicle?
Yeah, that was the question that was initially asked that we completely forgot. I think it's Daigo, because I have absolutely nothing in driving.
Yeah.
Okay. So you won't need to make a driving test to get up close, but it might become relevant when you're trying to get away. What I would like is for one of you to make a sense trouble test. As you approach the spot where you've got you can see the garbage truck just pulling up in the right spot in the intersection. I would like to make a sense trouble test.
I have 7 points in sense trouble. Daigo, if you want to add the 2 more, we can just really knock this sense trouble challenge out.
Sure. How much would that cost me again in points of sense trouble to add 2 to your roll?
3.
3 points, right?
You'd be maxing
All right.
it out. But this is also probably the last thing we're going to do with it. So there's 7 and 2, so that I'm adding 9 to the roll. And it's 1d6, correct?
Yep.
Modifier, 9. That is an 11.
So that will be the difficulty by more than 4, which we established will get you an extra benefit. So what you just realize, Mayhem, just because you would know you realize that Wild is going to know what that dump truck is doing there. He's already realizing, and he's scrambling to figure out how to salvage his plans. Sorry, that's probably my house. That's the dogs. They're about to go for a walk. Then
Yeah, I was more curious than distracted, really.
That's right. They're literally walking out the front
We
door
don't-
now, so the noise should stop.
We don't hear anything, Matthew.
So I think at this point, seeing this,
Mhm.
I kind of nudged Daigo and mutter under my breath, Wild's catching on. We either need to ram him or somehow get your sniper to shoot him now.
Yeah, because you can see that Wild's drawing his gun, like pulling it out, turning it towards the armored car. You only have a few moments to react. Do you want to trigger your sniper, or do you want to do something else?
Sorry, you want to trigger your sniper? Is that what you said?
Yeah, like you have presumably some sort of way to signal that it's time.
Yeah. And we've established that we have radios that we can use for communications.
Mhm.
So we could send the signal to Esau to shoot.
All right. When's the best time then? Is that now, or are we holding off on anything else?
I mean, this is pretty much. I mean, are you asking me this in character, or are we talking out of character here?
Out of character, really.
As far as I know, this is basically it for us. This is our big moment before we go to character creation for the next time period. Is that correct, Shane?
Yeah, no problem, no problem.
That's
I get it.
pretty right.
I just,
I mean, depending what happens.
It's just the way you said. This is the last thing we're gonna do before character creation. I'm like, are we all gonna die like right now?
I mean,
But yeah, okay, I got it.
I have a feeling that if hip hop exists in this timeline, that Marie's favorite song or favorite album is probably "Ready to Die."
I'm more of a Fugees Ready or Not person, but let's go. All right, let's go. Let's do it.
So, are we
All
using
right.
the sniper, or are we doing this? You know, are we using the sniper, or are you ramming Wild's car?
Okay, when you put a question like that in character or out of character, Daigo would love to ram Wild's car. I'm just saying, but near as he understands the plan, it's to give Esau the order.
Okay.
We could, Shane. Let me know if this is okay.
Yeah.
Could we do both simultaneously, like radioing the order to Esau to shoot Wild, and then letting Daigo ram the car, since Daigo really wants to ram the car?
And Cardinal is not opposed to overkill, just so you know.
I mean, if you take out Wild, then there may be other things that you want to spend those driving test points on, just to.
Fair. Well, I mean, let's see what happens with Esau.
Okay, so Esau will take the shot on command. You will see, this is all only taken like half a second. Wild was still bringing his gun up towards the armored car, and you see just a smear of blood erupt across the window as the glass shatters. Wild slumps down in the car in front of you. The armored car brakes abruptly when it sees this. In fact, the whole convoy does. And you can see that the follow car, the one that you were hired to take out, the men inside are drawing weapons as well. So it's about to be a shootout of some kind. But we'll come back to the two of you. At the mansion, you've approached the front door and knocked, or how do you approach?
Yes.
All right. So,
Since I know someone's in there this time.
Yeah, so you notice that last time you were out here, you could hear the muffled sound of that booming voice from the front door, even through your earplugs just slightly. At this time, there is some sort of sound coming from inside, but not a voice. Not really sure what you're hearing. And then you hear the sound of a very loud explosion. It sounds quite distant, but it also seems somehow to come from inside the house. What do you do?
I think it's time, Marissa. We have to go in.
Open the door.
All right.
in character. Yeah, be prepared that the house is the wrong shape inside.
Okay. Okay.
And
So
then
the foul smell of human waste that's been left to lie on the floor, immediately reaches you. You step into that sort of great room area. You see the typewriters, the piles of handwritten pages lying on the ground, but the people who were here composing on them or taking dictation on them last time you were here, Marissa, they're gone now. At the front of the room where the mirror was, you still see the mirror frame, but inside it is not reflective glass. It opens like a door onto another place, another city, red skies and
not
two
looking.
suns.
I'm
There are
no?
sounds of battle from the far side. I'll ask you both to make a difficulty 6 composure test, as it's clearly impossible for that to be there.
Yes. Nine.
Great. Johnny?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
7.
You both hold it together. What do you do?
I avert my eyes as I see Marissa doing, and we both got our ears plugged. So I call out, "Is that the mirror?" But understand that I'm not going to understand the response and move up towards that gateway to an impossible realm.
Mm-hmm. As you approach it, you realize that there are presences in the room, not people, sort of spectral, not quite visible, but you can almost see them. You can almost detect them in some way.
Henry.
It doesn't feel like Henry at all.
No, I understand, but I'm saying that out loud.
Okay.
I know it's not Henry. I don't think it's Henry. But I'm looking around and
Yeah.
wondering what's happening. It's they said Henry. They said you'd be here. Henry, I've been waiting for you.
You
for
don't
so
see
long.
or hear anything human. Yeah.
You must be
Johnny.
here.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Johnny, as you approach the mirror, you have the strong sense that you're being watched by like the ghostly courtiers of some ancient aristocracy all around you. But what will you do?
I'm going to ignore that as much as possible. I'm going to put on a fake smile because I was told to basically pretend like this is all normal and I should just be part of this. And probably shaking too much, try to continue a casual approach to the mirror.
Okay, you reach the mirror. You reach the frame that was once the mirror.
And so I'm going to touch the frame and repeat what Marie taught me.
It'll take a few seconds to repeat the words. Are you looking through the mirror or not?
I've closed my eyes at this point.
All right.
I'm going to. Yeah, I'm going to. If the threat's coming, it may come from the other side. I'm going to look. At least I can see something if something's about to come through.
Oh, something is about to come through. It looks about 8 feet tall. It has huge, sharp teeth, but mostly it appears as a sort of collection of luminous blobs congealing and separating. And it's coming right at Johnny.
I'm going to try to get its attention.
How will you do that? Are you a servitor of our king who has come to bring Henry to me? If so, I demand that you bring him now. I have been mourning too long, and I cannot go on without him. I do not know what manner of thing you are, but you must do this. So I think I'll get you to make a composure test to see if you're able to, like, you know, put this so strongly that it can't help but be drawn to you, with difficulty 4.
Manage somehow to goop up my pools, but I'll figure it out later. I have enough composure to just make it. So let me see if I get a really good roll. Nine.
Ooh. All right. So
Style.
the thing does, like, arrest its progress. It turns from Johnny towards you and it crosses the threshold of the mirror. And where it had intended to attack, somehow your words have like brought it to heel, and it approaches you, and even though it doesn't really seem to have limbs or a bodily form, it seems to have knelt or bowed before you, and Johnny will have time to finish the ritual and weaken whatever magical wards protect the mirror. What do you do, Johnny?
Once I've completed the ritual as described, I do open my eyes again and see if it looks like a mirror or if it still looks like a gateway.
Very much the latter.
And so I'm just going to detonate that suitcase and turn around and run, and probably see this blob and be a little bit scared of that, but try to run past it.
All right. So just a few seconds from when you hit that detonator until it explodes,
Right.
you're trying to get out of the house. Marissa, you see that Johnny is fleeing, presumably having hit the detonator. What will you do?
I'm going to hold until the last. I'm afraid that thing may somehow be able to interfere. So I am continuing to say, yeah, that's right. You know, you should bow for me. I am Marissa Bolt. And you and yours will always serve me in mind. And I am, so I'm going to hold that thing's attention. And then I'm going to get blown up.
Yeah, what are those Marissa's last words? You will always serve me in mind?
Yes.
All right. So, Johnny, you make it free of the explosion, but it's clear to you that Marissa has not. Yeah. What do you do?
I peek back inside that threshold, and I just want to see, is the house leveled? And the threshold being like the front door threshold, not the mirror threshold.
Sure.
Yeah.
So it's an enormous house, like it's quite a sprawling estate, but definitely
Right.
the whole front part where that mirror was standing has been destroyed. The you can't see specifically, but the area where the mirror stood is just a pile of burnt debris now, or burning debris, I guess.
Yeah, I'd like to think that Johnny turns around with a tear in his eyes and heads back to the vehicle.
All right.
And I think at this point, head back to the safe house and wait to hear from the others.
Okay. So let's see what happens for the others. Wild is dead. The armored car is slamming its brakes on. Various goons on both sides are drawing weapons for a firefight. Daigo, you think that maybe you could, like, if you were to crash into the right spot on the armored car, you could still, like, you know, sort of push it into the explosives close enough to take it out. But you probably need Mayhem to lay down some cover fire while you do that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Alrighty. I mean, so I'm just going to burn every remaining point I have in fighting, which is 7.
Right. All right.
And roll 1d6 plus 7.
Nice.
Nice
So-
roll name.
And I think this is
Mayhem.
when Daigo realizes my nickname is actually earned and justified.
Do you want to describe the scene beyond that at all? Like, is it machine gun fire? Are we launching grenades? Like, what's happening here?
Oh, I just step out of the passenger seat, and it's not so much that it's laying down suppressive fire. It's that I am making very precise shots. It's like headshot, 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 fire grenade, headshot.
I'm sorry because you deliberately, like, you know, lampshaded this ever since we started running this series, like, about how it's, you know, inspired with the whole Sarah Connor kind of thing. So I can't help but think it's like that version of her, like, cocking the gun with one hand and shooting, you
But when
know.
she does the shotgun thing and she like shakes the shotgun up to
Yeah,
put
yeah,
a
yeah.
shell in. Yeah.
Yes, but the headshot version of it.
Yeah. Honestly, she probably does that with the with the grenade launcher that's slung underneath the barrel.
So it's a very steady, terrifying, slow march with each shot. Yeah.
It's almost like a machine.
Dun 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 dun.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
All right. So pedestrians are screaming. Wounded goons are collapsing to the ground, trying to drag themselves up into a shooting position. Most of them are not wounded, though. They're just taken out. Daigo, you have one shot to hit this armored car and project it close enough to the explosives to take it out.
No pressure. Let's burn
The
all the driving
difficulty.
points.
Well, let's just talk about the stakes. So the difficulty is 5 on your driving test. Either way, you're going to hit the armored car. But on a failure, you won't explode it, and the impact will open up the back for whoever's inside. So go ahead and roll.
All right. Let's see. That is a 5.
Oh.
On the Jesus fucking Christ.
All right. So you
Pardon my
see the
French.
armored car like turn onto its side, slide along the road towards the truck, and there is a colossal explosion, one of the biggest you've ever seen. The two of you, but also Johnny, far from here, find yourself enveloped in a terrible yellow wave of light and heat. It feels like being wrapped enfolded in a tattered yellow robe of some kind. Mayhem, you briefly experience a vision, the small red book that Wild had given you. You see the title, The King in Yellow, erased from the cover somehow. And just a strange feeling of reality itself falling apart. The 4 of you briefly experienced a weird sort of daydream where you were heroes of a resistance in some sort of alternate timeline fighting against a weird regime with supernatural powers. But you come back to yourselves, you remember, you're just ordinary people living your ordinary lives in the normal world. And that is where we will pick up our fourth setting for the game. This is normal now. Would people like to take just a short break here, or should we just go into character creation?
I kind of feel like a short break might be a nice palate cleanser.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Maybe just like 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Is that good for everyone?
Sure.
All right. So, are we all good to make our final set of characters?
Yes.
Okay, so I've moved the This is Normal Now tab to the left-hand side of the character keeper. You'll see that in this setting, you play the same character that you played in the previous setting, but this is as they would have been without the Castaigne regime to fight against in what is, more or less our actual world of 2021. Though obviously we assume that some bad and strange things will be happening. So you all have an investigative kit that has started you out with a set of 4 investigative abilities. And the first thing we'll do is just go around and let you pick up some of the other investigative abilities that are available in this setting. So if I can get you to turn to the character options tab and scroll down to B48, where you'll see the little table of character options. So we'll go around, I guess, maybe we'll go from right to left across the character keeper, and I'll get you each to pick out one of those investigative abilities that you'd like to add to your character. So I should know by now who's on the right-hand side. It's Nicholas. It is. Nicholas, do you want to pick one of those investigative abilities that's not bolded?
Yeah. As a marketing person, it feels like flattery would be quite appropriate.
Cool. Brandon?
Hang on a moment. I gotta...
Sure.
Intuition, occult, and feasible person. Yeah. I'll go with photography. Sounds good.
Cool. Pocket?
I got to go with intuition. That feels like it'd be the sort of thing that a security specialist might need.
Sorry, the barista already has intuition, so it's the unbolded ones.
Oh, okay. My bad.
Yeah.
All right, let me flip back over and check these. Just because I love The Clash, I've got to go with bullshit detector. I'm back in the garage with it.
Nice. And Matthew, do you want to grab two of those abilities, and then we'll go back across the keeper the other way?
You're muted.
Sorry. I'll take Streetwise and actually such a fucking idiot. What is inspiration again?
That is a great question. Let me see if I can.
It's I had it as the muse. It's the ability to give other people ideas.
It's a technical. It's a technical writer, so I think we'll put technology in there. Yeah,
Cool.
so let me put that in. All right.
And Pocket, do you want to take another one?
Law.
Cool. Brandon?
let's see. Art history sounds like the degree that the barista might have helped towards.
Yeah, or liberal arts.
And Nicholas.
I'll take inspiration.
Cool. All right. So the next thing then is to assign points for your general abilities. So in this setting, you'll see a note if you float over the general abilities box. You've got 32 points to allocate between them. It recommends 8 to 10 in composure, 6 to 8 in athletics, and 5 to 7 in fighting. And I'll just give you a few minutes to work through that.
I'm the only one who has to deal with the public on a general basis. I should have a high composure.
So point total again we're working with?
32.
Where are we? What city are we in?
Still in New York.
Okay, so I can take 0 points in driving and be fine. Because who has a car?
I mean, if Daigo had done that in the previous,
Yes, but we were agents back then and might have a car rather than having a minimum wage or close to a job.
I just got to know: is the barista at Starbucks or an independent coffee shop?
Independent coffee shop, please. I was thinking.
So we're talking good espresso then.
I was thinking. Yes. Necessary and sufficient grounds.
Ooh, a coffee shop named Sufficient Grounds.
Yes.
That's the kind of place where a security guard would go, or a security specialist of whatever type.
Yeah, absolutely.
By the Shane, are we supposed to be like when it says security guard? Are we talking like somebody who's basically a rent-a-cop at a mall, or do we get to define that ourselves for our characters?
Yeah, I mean, you have pretty broad latitude to take them whichever way you want. The overall idea for this setting is that you're pretty regular people.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, within that, whatever you want to be.
So I could be like some sort of security specialist or risk identification person,
Sure.
that sort of thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Going from causing violence to trying to prevent it. Wow. What a switch.
That's clearly not my strong suit.
Oh, I forget. We actually still need a health stat, right? Otherwise, we're dead without it, right?
No, that's not. No, the only way you die is if you rack up three injury cards.
Okay, so what's health again?
Health
Your
is what you
fitness?
use to resist if something makes you sick or hurt. It's what you roll to avoid a consequence.
Yeah, you can. Sometimes you're required to spend points from your choice of health or athletics or fighting in a combat as well.
Oh, okay.
By the way, Shane, since you seem to be gradually working on putting the Yellow King in everything, which, for the record, I completely support. I'm wholeheartedly on board with this. I'm not in any way saying anything. I love the idea. I love what you're doing with it. I just wanted to offer a suggestion.
Please.
Yellow King, but worldwide wrestling.
I thought you were going to say Yellow King, the musical.
No, that's already going on. Shane's doing that in Monster Hearts already. It's already on the
The
calendar.
Was it a musical? I didn't realize it was a musical.
Well, it's a,
I'm
it's a
sorry
high
I
school
didn't
stage
see that
production.
because
I'm sure
it's
that
a high school
somebody will
stage
try
production.
to. I mean,
I wanted to be in that so bad.
Funny you say that. I was thinking of Yellow King, the animated series.
okay, I'm totally on board with that.
It's a Saturday morning cartoon.
But anime. So there it is, Dragon Ball Yellow.
I
Why
was
not?
thinking of I was thinking the Yellow King as a kind of sort of Mario, Super Mario-esque character that
Yeah.
waves his jolly scepter and exhorts the kids to say their sing their songs every day and make copies of this and put them up around the house.
So I got to ask, am I the only buddy? I mean, I realize that it's different in the Philippines and Australia. But am I the only person who took a drama class in high school or secondary school or whatever the equivalent is?
No, I did too.
Okay. So did you have that one kid in the class who was like part of the production, but like wanted to sing whether the song was fitting or appropriate or not? Like they wanted to add "Don't Stop Believing" to Cinderella or something?
No, you were more fortunate than I in this regard.
I don't think that if you didn't have that, I believe that makes you the fortunate one.
There's a nail that's going straight here on the side of my head just thinking about it.
I'm sorry to have to put this idea in your head, Matthew.
Are you really?
Look, there is a reason why I dropped drama after one semester, and it's because the teacher was insisting that all of us had to be in Oklahoma. She wanted to do a production in the gym, and we were all supposed to sing and dance, and I wanted to do none of that. I just wanted to do stage crew stuff. Like, I'll switch gels, run spotlights, stuff like that. I don't want to be on stage. She insisted. I dropped. Best decision I made that year.
I do like the idea of like the Carcosan wrestling champion just turning up at Worldwide Wrestling one day and staging his own little invasion angle. It sounds great.
I mean, there's plenty of invasion angles in wrestling. It's not like you have a shortage to choose from.
Mm-hmm.
You could
I also have a
Go ahead.
hard copy of the second edition of Worldwide Wrestling that I've been meaning to get out and have a look at.
See, I just gave you a reason. And I mean, you know, based on what you see me doing with Pasiones, that I absolutely support this. I think it's a lovely idea. I'm just saying, dude, there are so many games that you could put this into that would just be mind-bogglingly awesome. Like, what would Urban Shadows look like as a Yellow King game? Like, you're all in Carcosa already.
I mean,
Good Society would have to be high.
I was about to say, dear Mr. Darcy, dear Mr. Darcy, we have had the most interesting visitor this week.
I was thinking Star Trek, to be honest.
No.
But hear me out. What about Paranoia or Twilight 2000?
I'm not very familiar with these games.
There is
I think
Twilight
Paranoia
2000
could be really good, actually.
Twilight 2000 times the King in Yellow equals Hot War, which is an old indie game about the aftermath of World War II, where something went very, very wrong, and civilization came mostly apart.
I think so. I grew up in my teens. The one RPG that I could afford and was plentiful in secondhand stores was Deadlands Classic. And Man, I would love to run Deadlands Classic again, but as you pull back the veil of what powers everything, it's the King in Yellow. That would be super fun.
Okay. I will just suggest one thing. You might want to use one of the newer versions because they handle the CSA a lot better. I mean, it's not necessarily great, but it's still a lot better.
So I have a question. Back to the game. Like, this is set in a present reality that is very similar, if not functionally identical, to the one that we exist in, parallel to the one that we just played.
That's right.
All right, just making sure that it was absolutely like clear. All right.
What was the total? Oh, sorry.
So the implication being that we're in a less bleak. Well, actually, between the Yellow King and climate change and the devastation of economy as we know it. Kind of.
Yeah, I don't know if I would say less bleak.
I'm not sure that a reality like our own in a Yellow King game is actually better. It might be worse.
I think we are all in agreement here. It seems.
Right. So it looks like people have largely finished with their abilities. There's 32 points for that pool altogether. You'll see, like, you're probably familiar with these by now, but the two sort of narrative-y bits that you also need for your character are a drive, so something that's going to compel them to investigate strange happenings when those come your way, and a freaking weird moment, just something strange and inexplicable that your character has experienced recently.
Where are lines and veils?
Right?
No, I'm looking at lines and veils.
There's a safety tab.
Yep.
Is looking out for the good life for me and my homies an appropriate drive?
I mean, as long as you feel that that's like your character is going to launch themselves into investigating weird horrors, like that's the real point of the drive, is to like get you into trouble.
All right, let's see. Let me figure out how that is. Yeah, I'm trying to reconcile the fact that, and I'm dead serious about this. Like, I'm trying to reconcile the fact that this alternate version of the character is kind of a moron, while also making it functionally like workable within like what this is supposed to be. I mean, look at him. Just look at him. Look at how oblivious he is. He doesn't know what's gonna happen.
So, Shane, quick question for you. I still have the Mayhem nickname in my on my character sheet. How do I modify that?
Yeah. I mean, can you just write over it?
No, it comes up with equals aftermath bang F2.
I think you'll just have to alter it in the aftermath tab because it's just copying the name from there over.
Okay. Did you make this character keeper yourself?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, this is some real nice work.
Thank you.
There's a lot of cool stuff in here. I mean, if my character specializes in security, I doubt her nickname is Mayhem.
Maybe behind it.
Down, maybe.
But no, that's not her professional nickname.
No.
That's what we're talking. That's to refer to her personal life.
Now I'm thinking, like, is there a security company with the audacity to name themselves Mayhem and that's their backronym?
So yeah,
Oh,
if we're
I was
talking
just
about
thinking that
nickname,
that's your love
my-
life, you know.
Yeah, I was going to say if we're talking about the nickname reflecting my personal life, I'm pretty sure it would be Marie Disaster Lancaster. Disaster
Yeah.
Lancaster. That can be my name for the Worldwide Wrestling game with King in Yellow.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Yellow King Good Society. Look, Shane, do you realize how many people would sign up for that? I mean,
I haven't. Yeah, I've always wanted to play Good Society. I haven't had a chance, but that would be cool.
like, just would you be setting it in our reality with the King in Yellow encroaching, or would this be Good Society in Carcosa?
Oh, Good Society and Carcosa is a tempting idea. You know what else would be cool? Sorry, I don't want to spend the whole rest of the session thinking about other King and Yellow games. The Hearts of Woolin Courtly Courtly playset
yes.
setting Carcosa.
Oh my, that'd be amazing. So there's something else to add to your spreadsheet. And yeah, Nicholas, you're right. Paranoia King in Yellow would be like if instead of friend computer it was the King in Yellow, it would totally work.
Right. I mean, that is obviously your friend computer.
Yeah.
Yellow clearance, highest clearance.
Yes, the spectrum does stop at yellow. Why do you ask?
Yeah.
Red,
I mean, who
orange,
needs
yellow.
VBIV?
That's all there's ever been.
Yep, only mutants and commies would suggest otherwise. Now I'm literally just looking at my shelves now, thinking of games that you could run a Yellow King scenario in. Shane, is my weird moment a little too glib? Should I add to it?
I think it's okay.
Okay.
The
I think I'm used to getting like Mary or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, when you're playing in a longer series, the idea is that the freaking weird moment is something that the GM can use for like adventure hooks or story hooks. But we only have 2 and a bit sessions for this series, so I'm not going to be short on ways to get you into trouble.
I realized that my drive derived from my freaking weird moment. So.
Well,
Yes, my character's starting from an unusual stance.
uh-huh.
Well, and if you were the barista who spelled my name correctly on the cup, and suddenly you're missing, there's an adventure hook.
All right. It looks like people have filled some stuff in. Is everyone ready?
I think so.
All right. Well, what I'd love to do is a quick round of character intros and then just take like a 5-minute break and then we'll get going. So Okay, could you start by introducing the new Marie Lancaster?
Yes, my name is Marie Lancaster. I am a security specialist. I work for both individual and corporate clients who wish to identify potential gaps in their security systems and protocols and staffing. My interest in security stems from a childhood incident. My best friend as a child, Amy, was kidnapped. And although the police were eventually able to recover her, well, is anybody ever really safe and sound after an event like that? She was alive, but she was never really the Amy that I knew again. She was always scared. She was always, understandably, worried that something bad was going to happen, that somehow she'd be taken by someone again, that she'd be powerless in a situation again. I did as much as I could to help her recover, but eventually I realized that recovery it's better than the worst option, but prevention is what's truly necessary. And that's what I have more or less dedicated my life to, or at least dedicated my professional life to.
Cool. Brandon, do you want to tell us about Marissa?
Marissa Winkler is a young woman who was an art history major in college and hoped to become involved with a museum or perhaps a writer or a professional photographer, but none of those things happened. And so now she is working as the front person for an independent coffee shop to keep things together while she figures out what to do with her life, or at least that's the way it was. Not that long ago, she woke up from a dream after being sick for a few days, and she found herself in a crystalline ballroom whose floor and ceiling were ornate mirrors. Everything was suffused with a holly-colored light, and she was suspended in the air and unable to move, paralyzed, and was terrified. After hearing the people who evidently owned the domain talking about her, she realized that the only way to escape was to reimagine the illusion that makes up the world. So she imagined everything being normal, and her being in her bed at home, and then she was. She is not sure exactly whether she's awake or not, whether she ever really did wake up. And if she is awake, she's pretty sure that the ballroom is down under there, just waiting. And she's trapped in it, and maybe we're all trapped in it.
That's great. Thank you. Nicholas, tell us about Johnny.
Yeah, so Johnny is a marketing coordinator and excited to someday be able to run his own marketing campaigns. But right now he does marketing campaigns for other people. I imagine that he got a bachelor's degree in business science or whatever that is. His drive is he reads too many bad fiction novels, and when he sees elements of those novels manifest in the real world, he becomes super curious about how this fiction and reality, the lines are blurring, and needs to understand more about it. And the weird moment that he had, the last online marketing campaign he was involved in was shut down by the FBI while it was going viral. So it was like the best marketing campaign ever. Reportedly, it caused some sort of suicide death cult, ? But the FBI has been really cagey about giving out details.
Cool. That's awesome. And Matthew, tell us about Daigo.
Yeah, so this reality, Daigo Wheels Karingal is a technical writer. He and his coworkers basically spend their afternoons working on technical manuals for electronics, cars, that kind of stuff. All the documentation, all the warranty cards, everything. People trained in legal and technology, like just collaborate to make all the stuff that you find in your TV that some of you throw away. um, yeah, he's called Wheels because he goes to work in rollerblades. So yeah, and one of the last people holding on to roller skates, whereas people have moved on to segways and skateboards. Yeah, his history with all these things is that one of his coworkers named Sam disappeared one day, and another person later took his place took his place in society in the sense that took his same job, acts like the same sibling or child of his parents, named Eugene, but no one acknowledges the difference of this person. They don't recognize that like, oh, he's always been Eugene. He's always been this guy, including his parents, his girlfriend, everything. But at the same
Daigo
time,
has noticed.
yeah, but Daigo has noticed, and Eugene doesn't claim any memory of the interactions that he and Sam and Daigo have had before. So it's kind of weird, like taking that place, but kind of like being ignorant or unaware of like very, very minor points, despite occupying that same role in the world. Um, yeah, and so because of that, Sam wants to know more about all the weird things happening in New York that appear incredibly commonplace. Like, he's probably seen a barista, misspell on the cup, all of the weird stuff. But no one really visibly acknowledges them except for these people he's met, Marie, Marissa, and Johnny.
You've all made such perfect characters that are going to slot into things so well. I'd love to take just like a 5-minute break to get ready for the next like chunk. So come back about quarter past.
Works for me.
I gave you wheels, Bucket.
Excellent.
You know what? And honestly, the sad thing to me is that, you're a tech writer. It's like, what if you were like a driver or something like that like drove me around because I just refused to drive?
This is New York.
Right?
It is. All right. Catch you later.
All right. See you in a few.
All right. So where we're going to start off is that the four of you have all separately arrived at a public lecture. It's being held at Manhattan Community College. It is by an author named Gene Wilde, who is known to the extent that he's known for a series of kind of fringe pop science type books, mingling quantum physics with occult theories. His books have sort of gotten weirder over time. You have all arrived separately. You've all found yourselves sat in the front row. The lecture will be starting soon. Marissa and Daigo, you two know each other from somewhere. How do you know each other?
What do you think? How do we know each other?
It's Marissa and
Marissa.
and Daigo.
Oh, sorry.
I was thinking Daigo probably Daigo has probably taken up the barista profession earlier in life, and maybe if Brandon's okay with this, Marissa worked there at a time, and so it's kind of like an unusual position where Daigo has been able to like get a desk job or a white collar job, while Marissa is still there in service.
Well, you have a useful degree. I think we went out for a while.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice, actually. You know what? I like that idea also because I kind of see Daigo in this reality as a little bit of a schmuck. You know what I mean? So I think he is, regardless of whether you choose to portray Marissa as someone like of a high competency or a or a disaster person, like it's going to be very easy for Daigo to look up to that person and just be like, yeah, I'm dating this person. That's so cool.
Marissa is cute and smart and weird.
Yeah.
She's always been cute and smart and weird, but lately she's gotten weirder.
So
Yeah.
when you say you used to go out, like, have you stayed in touch? Are you surprised to run into each other here?
Yeah. Would you think the split was amicable or not? Or like, how do you think that because if it's used to date, unless we're actually currently dating, which is also something that can work, I don't know.
I think we go. I think we still go out on and off. But I don't think we arranged to meet here. I think my being able to come here was a weird last minute spot. I was supposed to take a double shift, and then the other person, suddenly their emergency or whatever it was evaporated.
I see.
And so I said, screw it. I'm going to a lecture.
Let's see.
I think maybe the company told me to go to this one. Cause like supposedly it's going to be like an enrichment class or something like it's going to be like informing like the stuff that we're going to be working on, which might actually be bullshit or not bullshit, which is actually very funny to me. But yeah.
And Johnny, why have you come to this lecture?
I found out that this guy is the inspiration for one of my favorite fantasy novel authors, and so I had to check out what inspires an author that I'm super excited about.
Cool. And Marie, why are you here?
What's the author's name again?
Well,
Gene Wilde.
Gene Wilde. So I monitor chatter online just to see what people are talking about, and his name has been coming up more and more on some sites and message boards that I track just to keep threat of emergent threats. So I want to learn more about this. Well, kind of trying to stay under the radar. So I'm not at all happy about being in the front row. This is not at all where I want to be because there are too many people behind me. I wanted to be on a back row aisle seat so that I could get out quickly, so that I could see any threats coming. And instead, I'm in the front goddamn row. I am not thrilled about this. This is too much exposure.
And how do you and Johnny know each other?
Johnny, how do you think we know each other? Did I maybe hire you for, like to do some marketing materials for my consultancy?
I was kind of thinking your consultancy probably does security services for the large multinational conglomeration that I work for. And so
I'm fine with that. If I got called in to kind of, look at a couple of facilities or something like that and happen to run into you.
That seems like a fine, why would we know each other, or why would we have caught each other in passing once or twice?
What's your conglomerate?
I think that you probably had to investigate some incident in the marketing department.
What's the name of the company?
THE Co, which surely stands for something.
THE Co. Got it. So what do you think the issue in the marketing department was?
I think someone came in with a gun and held the marketing department hostage, maybe shot one or two people, but not fatally. Does that sound like the sort of situation that they'd call you in for, or not?
certainly to, at the very least, to do a lessons learned session to
Okay.
establish new protocols. Who brought the gun in, do you think? Was it an employee who just kind of lost their shit at work, or was it someone from outside? You know, am I hardening the company from external threats, or am I developing processes to identify and reduce the risk of internal threats?
Internal threats, it was someone from accounting.
Of course, everybody knows people with accounting. Just lose it. But why was that accountant mad at the marketing department?
That's what we don't get. It doesn't make any sense.
Okay. So do you think I'm still looking into that?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Okay. And Marie, you also recognize Marissa, I think. You often stop in at that particular coffee shop.
Of course, Marissa's the person who manages to spell my name right, which is weird. Nobody else there does. It's like she pays attention to details or something.
How does Marie feel? Like, does it seem strange to you that you've coincidentally run into a couple of people you know in the front row of this lecture?
This seems very odd to me because one is a coincidence. Two, that's approaching a pattern. And it's a sufficiently it is unusual for me to be in a situation like this. So I have, my intuition about things going sideways is, what was that line from that movie? I've got a bad feeling about this. I am definitely more alert than I otherwise would be.
Cool. So before too long, the lecture starts. Dr. Wilde comes out to the lectern. He starts his lecture. It sounds like something out of comic books or Star Trek, but many leading physicists now entertain a multiple universe theory. He has a real, wishes he was doing a TED Talk type energy. He sort of paces around the stage. He gesticulates pretty heavily as he talks. The universe is infinite, but the number of possible combinations of molecules is, however huge, mathematically finite. And like the background of a Flintstones cartoon, the universe must therefore start to repeat itself at some point. Every possible configuration of reality must exist not just multiple, but countless times, or as many times as it can have repeated itself in the 13.7 billion years since the Big Bang. Science also alerts us to the presence of quantum entanglement, in which subatomic particles/waves harmonize with each other, joining the same state even when separated over vast distances. This puts us in mind of the words of the 19th century writer Elizabeth Archer, who wrote, and I quote, "He mentioned the establishment of the dynasty in Carcosa, the lakes of which connected Hasta, Aldebaran, and the mystery of the Hyades. He spoke of Casilda and Camilla and sounded the cloudy depths of Demi and the lake of Hali. The scalloped tatters of the king in yellow must hide Yathil forever." Let's take a moment to unpack the meaning of that. As he sort of pauses for effect, Daigo, somebody stands on you, somebody who is climbing over you towards the front of the theater. And she is drawing a gun. What do you do, if anything?
Is the gun? Wait, you know what? Shove.
You're just
Not
gonna
even
shove
thinking.
her?
Yeah.
All right, so if you shove her, she will just sort of stumble forward. She's raising the gun towards Mr. Wilde, Dr. Wilde, sorry.
And I just look at the lady and I go like, lady, what are you doing?
Holy fuck.
Does anyone do anything, or does she fire?
I turn to Marie.
I'm just, without even thinking, I'm moving on instinct.
All right. You just want to disarm her, or what are you trying to do?
Disarm and subdue.
Okay. So it's not a combat, it's just a difficulty 4 fighting test.
Yeah.
Does
This
it help
guy's
that I
weirding
shoved
me
this?
out. This guy's weirding me out, but I also don't want to like throw a bunch of stuff into it. So I'm just gonna roll flat. There's a
Alright.
3.
So she gets her shots off before you're able to subdue her. She fires twice and she screams, "It's not him! It's not him!" But you do. I think you do manage to subdue her, just not before she manages to fire. All of you see that Dr. Wilde has fallen to the stage. He's been shot. He's bleeding pretty bad. What do you do?
Oh my god! I jump up there and see if I can do something for him.
You want to make a first aid test?
Yeah, I mean a shooter. I didn't know what to do anything about, but yeah.
Yeah. All right. So a difficulty 5 first aid test to stabilize him a little.
This is really beyond me, but I'll try.
So all around you, people are screaming, running for the exits. Ooh.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah, you quickly realize that
he bleeds all over me.
Yeah. The organizer of the lecture has, rushed out to see what she can do. People have called ambulances and police, things like that. Johnny, what are you doing?
I was gonna rush up and offer aid in the first aid, but I think it's ineffective. I think I watch this person bleeding.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
You realize that it's too late.
yeah.
What about you, Daigo?
Well, after all of that, after shoving this trigger person, and all ensuing chaos, and seeing that Marissa is unable to stop the bleeding, he approaches Marissa. Daigo approaches Marissa and tries to see if she's okay.
Marissa had pulled off a shirt called "How May I Hate You," and had been using it to staunch the bleeding. It is soaked with blood now, and she is spattered with his blood. And she's wearing a sports bra. And she's going, "Oh fuck no! Oh fuck no!"
Is anybody else shot? Is anybody else wounded?
Nobody else has been hit.
Oh, I'm actually saying this out loud.
Okay.
In character.
Daigo puts his arms around Marissa, trying to hold her and keep her from breaking down at what's happened.
Is it reasonable to say that I might have a zip tie or 2 on my person suitable for, basically restraining the shooter?
I think that would be a difficulty 4 preparedness test.
Okay, so let's see. You know what? I'm just going to roll flat. I don't.
Yeah.
He's coming to a lecture, not to something where I say
to Wild in kind of a too loud whisper. It's like, but I was going to ask you how to move.
Is Wild dead at this point?
Do you know this?
Yeah.
Daigo goes, do you know this guy?
No. I just read one of his books. But I just thought he might have an answer or something. I don't know. It's a stupid idea. Never mind.
So by now, security guards from the college have arrived, and Well, yeah. So they start calling out for people to stay where they are to wait for police to arrive. A couple of them come over to where you are, Marie, and well, I guess one of them will try and secure the gun, which maybe has fallen a little away from where you're holding her down. Does that sound right?
And I'll say, use a pencil. For God's sakes, you don't want to disturb evidence. There are fingerprints on the grip of that gun. Who the hell trained you?
He looks around and says, look, 30 people just saw her shoot.
And you still preserve evidence. It's like you've never had to testify in court, which, by the record, you're going to have to do after this.
All right. The cops are on their way. Maybe you can tell them some more about evidence.
I don't have to tell them. They know. You're the one who's moving to pick the gun up with the hand that isn't even gloved.
Yeah. Right. He kind of rolls his eyes at his partner. You want to let us take her?
Please. That would be more useful.
Right. So they sort of bundle her away from you. She's quite... Sorry, go on. Did I go?
No, when the people show up, I take it if they headed to the gun person, Daigo sort of like raises his voice, yells, and says, to the paramedics to come over here for Dr. Wild. I mean, Daigo knows this guy's dead, but it's like, excuse me, this is like, there's something else here that needs to be taken care of. And when he does that, he also like just continues trying to calm Marissa down, saying, "There's nothing you could have done. It's not your fault."
Johnny, what are you doing?
I think Johnny is standing like 10 feet away from the body of the speaker, just like in shock, cannot process what's happening right in front of him.
Yeah. The paramedics start to load the body onto a stretcher. Security guards say the police are about 30 minutes away and have asked everyone to stay here until they can arrive and take statements.
And I say, 30 minutes? A man has just been murdered and the response time is 30 minutes?
The security guard looks at you and he says, well, he's not getting any more dead. Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ.
And I'm just going to say, what's your name?
I throw whatever comes to hand at his head.
Yeah. His friend will sort of bundle him away at that point. He's like, come on, Joe. I'm going to get out of here.
And I yell after them, it doesn't matter what your name is. The university's going to hear about this, and there's going to be video on a camera somewhere.
The security guards just conveyed a tremendous indifference in everything that they said and did. But they have taken the shooter away as well. They've led her off wherever they're going.
For the record, as a security professional, their indifference, their inability to even do a basic weapons pat down for people coming into this auditorium, this is more. This offends me on a moral level. They didn't even do the basic things.
Do you say that out loud?
Supposed to do. I think it's obvious to anyone looking at me right now that is what I am thinking.
Marissa looks at you, Marie, and says, "There's something wrong with them." I don't mean
being fucking incompetent.
Yes, besides that, I don't think there's something wrong with a lot of people. And
I'm going to kind of hunker down next to you and say,
I'm not a hospital outpatient, I swear to God.
Marissa, there's a lot wrong with a lot of people, but
no, I mean they were weird. I work with people every day, and those guys were acting like they had their strings were cut. Not like, oh, they were just like, oh, who gives a fuck, blah, blah, blah. Nobody acts like that when somebody gets shot to death in front of it, and it might be your job, even if you don't care about another human being, if you're not shocked by that, and don't tell me campus security, see it all the time, because they never do. Okay? It's not a fucking bloodbath. There's something wrong with those guys. Like their nerves were fucked up.
I cock my head in a way that shows you that I am actually listening to what you say. It's not like it's just going in one ear and out another. I'm paying attention to what you're saying and I'm internalizing it. Like, has anybody listened to you like this before, where it's obvious they take you seriously and are paying attention to it and thinking about it in a way that isn't dismissive?
No.
I was making the same face also.
I had a teacher who listened like that, but it turned out he was just trying to get in my pants. I mean, in college.
Do you say that out loud?
Yes.
It's like, well, sounds like you were a grad student.
No. I wanted to be, but I didn't. I decided to get any more loans would be crazy. Yeah, undergrad.
I'm used to professors trying to sleep with grad students. That's what I went through.
No,
undergrad, that's
I was legal. He was just an asshole. That's all.
Marissa, you're not wrong. I don't know about their nerves being cut. I've seen people react like that when they were under the influence of something, of a substance of some sort. Not drunk because they were too functional to be drunk, but certainly benzos can give that kind of flat affect, that kind of that lack of reaction. So you're not wrong. We may be looking at it from different perspectives, but they were acting strangely.
That's funny because
I'm curious.
I've seen dudes who they drop some stuff and they take some stuff, and it's like there's a fog on their heads that gets lifted. It's almost like they could see things for what they really were when they were under the influence. Like it frees them of whatever cloud is keeping everybody from noticing this stuff.
Daigo, just do I know you? Have we established that I know Daigo in some way?
No, I'm going to say that Daigo doesn't know you, but that doesn't stop Daigo from talking to literally anyone.
And I'll say, I don't particularly care what people do in their spare time or for recreation, but when the police arrive, it might do you a service to not mention any of those things. It sounds as though you're talking about personal experience, and I don't want... We've all been through enough tonight. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I don't do that stuff. Don't worry.
Okay. I don't pass judgment unless you're absolutely incompetent at your job, like those fucking security guards.
Marie, you stay here. I'm gonna go make sure that they do their job. They have the assailant, right? The person with the gun.
Maybe we should call the police.
That's not a terrible idea. Johnny, could you do that? I'd like to talk to Marissa a little bit. I'm wearing a blouse and pants. Are either of you wearing a blazer? I mean, can we at least get something for Marissa here to feel a little bit more covered up? No, dude, are either of you wearing a jacket, windbreaker, sweater, anything like that?
Johnny wears a suit, and so he takes off his suit jacket and hands it to Marissa.
Okay.
And heads out to go supervise the incompetent security officers.
A marketing professional going to supervise security officers. Sounds like that sounds like an improvement. Yeah.
It sounds like the Philippines, in my honesty, but yeah, that's neither here.
So, Johnny, I guess you'll find your way easily enough to the security office. And if you knock, one of the security guards will sort of crack the door a little and ask you what you want.
Just making sure you still have the person with the gun, right?
Well, she's not the person with the gun anymore, but she's here, yeah.
Okay, that's good. And I try to peek in around them and like get visual confirmation that they didn't lose this person.
Yeah, you'll see that she's there. She's, sat in a seat in a small room with the other security guard. She looks like she's been crying. She's pretty distressed.
Has she said anything about why she did what she did?
Yeah, he looks at you curiously when you say that. Do you have an investigative ability that would help you convince him to tell you?
I do. I have flattery. So I
Okay,
think
so how do you flatter him into telling you?
I tell him that don't listen to what Marie was saying. You guys are doing an excellent job with your security duties. And look, I'm going to convince her that you are competent. What have you learned so far?
He says, just some sort of domestic dispute. Seems like they were married. And then he leans closer to you, lowers his voice and says, she seems pretty crazy. She keeps saying that he's, I don't know, some sort of imposter or duplicate, something like that. But, woman shoots her husband, probably pretty run of the mill.
Yeah. That is pretty crazy sounding. But it looks like you got this handled, so I'll let you carry on. And
all right. Well, just don't go anywhere. The police will want statements.
Oh yeah, no, I'm just heading back to the podium or whatever.
All right, back to the lecture hall.
Lecture hall.
So I'll ask what the other three of you do, if anything, while Johnny is off talking to the security guards. Daigo, what are you doing? Are you going to stick around, or are you going to try and leave? What do you want to do?
I mean, are we still prevented from leaving the area until we give our testimony?
I mean, nobody's preventing you from going, but you've been asked to stay to give statements to the police.
No, I stay. I'm as Marie was talking to Marissa, sort of like this has piqued Daigo's interest, so he wants to stay, as well as the fact that he's very concerned for the welfare of Marissa. So he's not leaving unless Marissa's okay.
All right.
Yeah.
And Marissa, it sounds like people are going to base their decisions around what you do. So do you stay or do you leave?
Well, unless somebody tells me to go, I'll probably stay sitting right there on the stage with my hands wrapped around my knees. I've got Johnny's coat on. I have bloodstains on my face because I got it all over my hands and then put my hands to my face without thinking what I was doing. Mm-hmm. So I look a mess. But I'm just sitting and talking to Marie. Unless Marie says she recommends that we leave.
I'm trying to talk you through some calming exercises, some relaxation exercises, some breathing exercises, because this is the sort of thing that can lead to PTSD, and how you handle it in the moment is a way to minimize or mitigate the severity of such a thing. So I'm going through little biofeedback exercises with you. I'm basically helping you regulate your breathing, then slow your breathing, which will in turn slow your heart rate and help you calm down. It's not. It's something that I know how to do, and it might help you, and it won't hurt.
Sure.
So, I'm basically just sitting in front of you saying, listen to my voice. If you need to look at something, I'm right here. I'm right in front of you. Just look in my eyes. I want you to breathe with me. All right?
Yeah.
We'll breathe and we'll count. And we're going to count to 4. We're going to breathe, and we're going to hold that breath for a count of 4. Then we're going to exhale for a count of 4. Okay? And I start modeling the breathing patterns.
Sure. I'll go along with it.
And is that calming for Marissa to think about something besides that and focus on just breathing?
It is, but you sense that Marissa's got a lot more on her mind than even just what happened just now.
So until the cops show up, I'm going to focus on, because Johnny seems like he's in okay shape, and Daigo seems like he's in okay shape. Marissa seems more than a little distraught, and understandably so. So I'm going to focus my attention on Marissa.
I mean, okay is a very relative definition. Daigo's both a combination of both like pissed and disgusted. Like he's always putting his knuckles against his teeth, and then breathing, just going like, holy shit, what the fuck was that? Oh, and also, sorry.
I was going to say, if you wanted to be doing the breathing stuff at the same time, like you're listening to it and you start trying to do it, you're more than welcome to.
Yeah, and also Daigo hands over some something like he has his pack with his his water bottle and everything he uses to do his commute, and he's got some wet wipes that he hands over to Marissa so she can clean up her face.
Your name's Marie, right?
Yeah, you always spell it correctly when I get coffee in the morning. You're the only person who does. Literally the only other person. I think everybody else there thinks my name is Mary or Mar or Neri for some reason. I just, I got Jackie once. That was strange.
You should try mine, Marissa. No one. I get it. It's got a Z all the time. I get Y's all the time. Like
Maryza or something.
I don't know. Yeah, pretty. I don't think anybody's done both Y and Z at the same time, or they just completely mishear it, and it's like Marisha, Marsha, a couple of times.
Marsha, Jesus.
Spelled both ways. Yeah, I usually just. One time I grabbed the cup out of their hand and wrote it myself.
I mean, that actually that's reasonable. I mean, particularly since this is something that you personally do, watching somebody else do it badly.
I was a really good speller when I was a kid.
It's got to be frustrating to watch people do your job but do it badly.
It's not like my job requires so much brain power.
Well, but it gives you a lot of time to think.
Boy, does it ever. Mostly about how shitty my life is.
Well,
or anyway, was until recently.
Well, what happened recently to improve it?
It didn't not improve. It just went from being shitty to being crazy.
Okay, well, why don't you talk about that a little bit? How did
I tell you about my dream, or not dream.
And I smile and I kind of hold you by the shoulder and say, we're not in a ballroom. Look around.
No. Yeah, this is what it seemed like before I was in the ballroom. That it seemed perfectly natural and normal. And then the illusion went away and I realized that the ballroom was what it was really like inside, and that all this was pretend.
So it's right around there that the police turn up. Interrupting you. The detective calls out, thanks you all for sticking around. says that they'll need to take statements from you all, but they'll get you home they get you out of here as soon as they can. And I guess they'll head straight towards Marissa, who obviously looks like she needs to, get out of here, get cleaned up, get some support. And they'll start taking statements and working their way through the room. But I think we'll finish up there for today, and we'll pick this up next week, if that works for everyone.
Yeah.
So I'll just stop the recording, and then we'll do a quick round of stars and wishes.